Hey guys, B4TB here. Now, with the new banner confirmed and Sucrose being one of the 4-star units, I thought it's a good time to make my own guide of my favorite character in terms of gameplay, Sucrose. Personally, I'm really fucking angry they added Sucrose with Bennett and Fizzle because I already had Bennett and I couldn't care less about his constellations, and Fizzle just doesn't interest me. So the only character I want is Sucrose, but realistically not really, because I already have her at Constellation 2 and that's all she needs to be amazing. Constellation 3 would simply give her more damage, which is nice, and Constellation 4 kinda makes her a main DPS I feel like, but my team doesn't complement that playstyle. Now a lot of people know about Venti and how OP he is, but for me Sucrose is 10 times more fun and better in some situations. And if I ever roll Venti, he's going on expeditions, I'm telling you. So you better not keep me Venti, mijoyo. Now, what makes Sucrose so good? You know, Sucrose and Zhongli have a lot of similarities, and what I mean by that is that they're both flexible and can fit into any composition. They can both fill different roles in terms of DPS or support, and what defines that are the stats from the artifacts and the weapon. Elemental Mastery isn't the only way to play Sucrose. Just because her talents focused on Elemental Mastery as support doesn't mean you should always max that as much as you can. You need to think about your team and why would you need Elemental Mastery on Sucrose. Do you have a Diluc, Child, Mona, and is it possible for you to use them in the same team with Sucrose in the Abyss to create Melt and Vaporize combos? If yes, and you want to do that, then by all means, go ahead and build there as much support as you can for that maximum elemental boost on your carry. But in case you don't have any of the above, or you simply cannot afford to make cool big PP damage all the time in the Abyss, you can build Sucrose many ways for her, filling the role you need in the Abyss. Before I continue, I want to explain why Elemental Mastery isn't always good on Sucrose and why you should have 2 or more weapons for her crafted if possible and within your power. The only thing Elemental Mastery does for Sucrose is that it increases her swirl damage, and the swirl is based on the element that is infused with her Anemo skills, and a lot of times in the Abyss you're gonna fight slimes that already have an element on them, so by increasing your Elemental Mastery on Sucrose to the max, you lose damage, because the swirl damage is gonna be with the element the slimes are immune to. And also, the swirl damage cannot crit, so instead, if you build her with attack and crit, she's gonna do more damage, with basically just her Anemo damage. And the swirl is gonna be a little bit less damage, but overall the gain will be much bigger. Especially with Constellation 2 Sucrose, that basically gives an extra hit on her ultimate, and you get an extra E skill. In this patch, the game gives us free Wheezes to roll on the normal banner. And on that banner there are a lot of weapons, and chances are you might get a couple of books. And if you're lucky, you might get a book called Widsith or something like that, which is a weapon that gives crit damage, and the passive is you get a random song when your Sucrose enters the field, and it can either be Elemental Mastery, Elemental Damage bonus, or Attack, which are all great for Sucrose. So whatever you get, you're always gonna get good value out of them. But the best one for me is Attack and Anemo damage bonus. And there is 2 out of 3 chances you're gonna get one of those. The Width is an amazing weapon, and it's currently what I'm running on my Sucrose, and she absolutely carries me in the open world and the Abyss. Another weapon for her is the Sacrificial book, which is good only if you have at least Constellation 1 Sucrose, because it is very RNG weapon on low refinement, because of that 30% chance you're gonna get another E-skill, and it also gives Elemental Mastery, so it limits the playstyle of Sucrose. A different style of supporting with Sucrose is with the Favonius Codex. The energy recharge this weapon gives will allow her to get her ultimate up really often. Losing a little bit of damage, yes, but depending on your team, it might be just what you need to have the mobs constantly grouped up for easier cleanup, or if you want them to be crowd controlled so they don't attack you or the monolith. but I highly recommend you have Sucrose at Constellation 2 before you use that weapon to get the maximum value out of it, because Constellation 2 Sucrose makes her ult last longer, and the double E-spell will help regenerate more energy. Lastly, if you don't have any of them above, use the 4-star that you can craft from the smith. It's not bad at all, but it just focuses on support Sucrose mostly, but it can do some damage with the swirl if you aren't fighting slimes infused with the element on them. Let me know if I have forgotten something important about Sucrose. This is my first Genshin guide, but it's not really a guide as you know it, it's mostly weapon recommendations and a bit of playstyle opinions. In the close future, I'm gonna be uploading floor 12 clear. I'm currently experimenting on what team I'm gonna run for Chamber 3. First two chambers were actually really easy thanks to Sucrose on one team and Shanling with Zhongli on the other team, with Zhongli and his massive shield allowing my Shanling to never die. So yeah, thanks for watching and peace.